Okay, so before I start talking about the just kind of making drawings in general, I just want to remind you of getting your code organized. First of all, I had done this thing where I sorted my move functions and my draw functions in separate files, and there's a video on that if you want to, if you haven't done that yet. But I just also want to remind you that when we are adding new functions like we're about to do right now, we'll call this one, let's see, we'll call it like a star spiral or something. Okay, so as we do this, so I built this function right here. You'll notice that my setup and my loop are basically empty, and I don't need to keep. Some of us keep like adding lines here for every function that we create. Like we have it go forward and do like a certain amount, and then we have it go do something else, turn left maybe, and we have this whole string of things. And then when we turn it on, it has to sit and go through each of these steps before it actually gets to our program. Now, just because I've built a function doesn't mean I have to keep it here where I'm running it every time I turn it on. Those functions exist whether I use them or not. Okay, and so I don't need to keep using them just for the sake of it. So I'm going to run just the star spiral function because that's all I care about right now. And you can send a variable to it for this one if you want. You don't have to. Okay, but the key to this one, and a lot of these drawings where you have repetition, is using a for statement. So for, and then you'll use a int x equals 0 so that you're initializing the value of x, and then we say x is less than some value. Could be anything. It could be 20, could be 15, depends on what you're trying to draw and how many times you need to do the thing. I'll just say 15 right now. You need to do, or 16, 15. You need to do what makes sense for yours, and then do x plus plus. So this is how we do the for statement. And the power of the for statement is this. Let's say that I choose a side length, and we'll call it distance. So let's say I choose a side length of, to start, of 5 millimeters. Okay. Well, every time I can say forward 5, and before we continue, this is just a sample. This is not going to draw the thing that you're trying to draw. However, I just want to show you how this works. Okay, so first of all, I need to make this a float or an integer, and then we'll tell it to go forward that distance. So now it's going to go forward 5. But from here, what I could do is I could say, okay, well then turn right. Let's say we'll go right 45 degrees. Okay. And then we'll say, now if we keep doing this, what's going to happen is we're going to draw a shape repeatedly, and we're going to do that 15 times. So we're going to forward 5 centimeters or 5 millimeters and then turn right 45 degrees. We're going to do that a whole bunch of times, and what's going to end up happening is we're going to draw basically a bunch of octagons. Alright, and I'll try to draw an octagon. Let's see, this looks like a hexagon. Okay, so something like this, and it's going to keep repeating it over and over, because we're doing the same thing every time. And it's going to keep drawing back over itself. Okay, if we want it to start to spiral, that's when we can kind of use the power of this for statement, because now we can actually change the value of distance. So we can say distance is equal to distance, say, plus 5 or plus 1. And if we do this, now what's going to happen is the distance is going to get a little bit bigger each time. So we go like this, and then we go a little longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer, and then we get this kind of really ugly octagon spiral. Okay, but do you see how the sides get longer and longer? Okay, And so that's kind of what we might want to do here for this particular drawing. But that's not the only trick I have. And maybe if I don't want to make it linear, I could also say distance equals distance times, say like 1.1. So now I have a multiplier, and it's going to kind of grow. It's going to kind of grow as like a power now. So it's going to increase by, you're going to multiply by 1.1 each time, and now we have this kind of multiplier acting that's going to make it advance much more quickly, like more kind of like a power function instead. And so we can also do things, so maybe we wanted to control the angle as well. So int angle equals 45, and I don't think we need to do this for this particular drawing, but maybe you also want to say angle equals angle minus 1, something like that. Okay, and so the angles get smaller and smaller. So, alright, this would actually make the angles wider and wider, I guess. But what I want you to do is, as you're doing this, what you'll notice is changing little things like these amounts, making it multiplying, adding, and then the amount you add by, the amount you multiply by, the amount you change it by, the order of some of these statements. All those things can have an impact on your outcome. And so pay attention to those things, take kind of notes, make comments in the side, and keep track of what you've done, because over time you're going to start to notice some patterns and start to get the hang of it. Okay? So hopefully this was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, and good luck on your drawing.